The worst moment of Ava Carter's life happened exactly 6 days before her wedding, and the entire internet saw it. Her phone vibrated nonstop as messages flooded in. Is this your fiancé? Please tell me this is fake. Girl, I'm so sorry. Her hands trembled as she opened the trending video. There he was. Daniel Brooks, the man she had loved for 4 years, the man she was supposed to marry next Saturday, sitting in a luxury hotel lounge with another woman practically in his lap. Not just any woman. Lila Monroe, the same actress who had slowly been replacing Ava in every audition. In the video, Daniel laughed as Lila ran her fingers down his chest. Then he said the sentence that shattered Ava's world. Why would I marry Ava? She's already fading in the industry. Lila's the future. The room felt like it tilted. Ava couldn't breathe. Outside her apartment window, Los Angeles glowed with neon lights and flashing billboards, some of them still showing her face from movies that used to be hits. But that was 2 years ago. Now casting directors stopped calling. Brand deals vanished. And the man she trusted most had just announced to the world that she was fading. Her wedding planner called. Ava, the guests are asking if the wedding is still happening. Ava stared at the video again. Daniel kissing Lila. The comment section exploding. Memes already being made. Her entire career, already struggling, was now becoming a public humiliation. Slowly, Ava pressed one button. Block. Then another. Delete. Then she whispered something that felt both terrifying and freeing. The wedding is cancelled. But she didn't know yet that 6 days later, she would be standing at another wedding altar with a man she had just met, a billionaire, and the decision would change both their lives forever. 3 days later, the party was impossible to ignore. Ava almost turned around at the entrance of the Grand Orion Hotel. Gold chandeliers sparkled across the ballroom ceiling. Celebrities laughed near the champagne bar. Executives in tailored suits discussed billion-dollar deals like they were talking about lunch. This was the annual celebration for Crown Entertainment, one of the most powerful film companies in Hollywood. And Ava hadn't been invited as a star. She was invited out of politeness. Her agent had insisted. Just show your face. Remind people you still exist. Ava hated how that sounded. Still exist. She took a slow breath and stepped inside. For the first 10 minutes, no one approached her. A few people whispered. Others pretended not to notice. The humiliation from Daniel's scandal still hung over her like smoke. Ava grabbed a glass of champagne and moved toward the quieter balcony. Maybe she could stay 20 minutes and leave. But as she approached the hallway leading to the balcony, she heard a conversation. 2 voices. One older. One deep, calm and unmistakably powerful. I'm running out of time, the elderly woman said gently. Ava froze. The door to the private lounge was slightly open. Inside stood a tall man in a black suit, his back to the door. Even from behind, Ava could tell he carried himself differently than everyone else in the room. Quiet confidence. Authority. I'm not asking for much, the older woman continued softly. Just that I see you married before I go. The man sighed. Grandma. Ava realized immediately who he was. Ethan Blake. Founder and CEO of Crown Entertainment. 32. Youngest billionaire in the entertainment industry. The man whose company basically decided which movies became global hits. She had only seen him in interviews before. He was known for being extremely private. No scandals, journalists always said. No relationships. No drama. Just success. Inside the room, Ethan spoke again. You should focus on recovering, not worrying about my marriage. His grandmother smiled weakly. Ethan, I've watched you build an empire. But you've built it alone. Silence filled the room. Then she said quietly, if I leave this world without seeing you happy, I'll regret it. Ava should have walked away. Instead, she stayed frozen. Ethan rubbed the bridge of his nose. You want honesty, he said. Yes. I don't have time to fall in love right now. The words came out tired. I run a company that employs 10,000 people. I barely sleep. His grandmother chuckled softly. Then marry someone kind. Ethan looked at her like she just suggested something ridiculous. You're asking me to marry a stranger. If that stranger gives you a chance at happiness, what's wrong with it? Ethan didn't answer. His silence stretched. Finally he said something that made Ava's heart skip. "If it means giving you peace, I'll do it." His grandmother blinked. "You mean that?" "Yes. But I won't treat it like a contract marriage." His voice turned firm. "If I marry someone, I'll treat her like my real wife. I won't abandon her later." Ava felt something strange twist in her chest. There was sincerity in his voice. Rare sincerity. His grandmother smiled with relief. "Then find someone soon." Ethan gave a small laugh. "That's the difficult part." Ava didn't think. Didn't plan. Didn't even fully understand what she was doing. She simply pushed the door open. Both of them turned. For a moment, the room went completely silent. Ethan Blake looked even more intimidating up close. Tall. Sharp jawline. Dark eyes that studied everything carefully. He didn't look surprised. He looked curious. Ava swallowed. Her heart pounded. Then she said something that would shock both of them. "If you're looking for someone to marry." She stepped inside. "Would you consider me?" The room went still. His grandmother blinked in surprise. Ethan stared at her for a long moment. Then he asked calmly, "Do I know you?" Ava gave a small, slightly awkward smile. "Ava Carter." Recognition flickered in his eyes. "The actress." "Formerly popular actress," she corrected. His eyebrow lifted slightly. "And why would you propose marriage to a stranger?" Ava inhaled slowly. "Because my fiancé cheated on me a week before our wedding." She paused. "And because I just heard you promise your grandmother you'd treat your wife properly." Ethan didn't react immediately. He studied her carefully, as if trying to understand whether she was serious or insane. Finally he asked one quiet question. "You realize marriage to me wouldn't be temporary." "I know. You'd become part of my life. My company. My family." "I understand. And you don't love me." Ava gave a tiny laugh. "You don't love me either." For a moment, Ethan Blake actually smiled. His grandmother suddenly chuckled. "Well, this is the most interesting proposal I've ever witnessed." Ethan looked back at Ava. His voice lowered. "You don't know me." "True. I could be difficult. Most powerful men are. You could regret this." Ava met his gaze. "Right now I regret trusting the wrong man for 4 years." The honesty in her voice filled the room. Ethan went quiet again. Then he asked something unexpected. "Why me?" Ava answered simply. "Because you didn't laugh when your grandmother asked you to marry someone kind." His grandmother wiped a small tear. "Oh, Ethan. I like her already." Ethan exhaled slowly. Then he said something that shocked Ava. "Walk with me." He opened the balcony door. Cool night air rushed in. The city lights spread endlessly below. They stood there in silence for a moment. Finally Ethan spoke. "You understand that marrying me will attract attention." Ava nodded. "Everything in my life already does. People will say you married me for money. They already say worse things." Ethan turned slightly toward her. "And what do you gain from this?" Ava looked at the city. "Peace." He frowned slightly. "What do you gain?" she asked back. Ethan looked toward the ballroom where cameras flashed. "My grandmother's happiness." Their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them. Not love. Not yet. But something steady. Something strangely comforting. Finally Ethan said quietly, "If we do this, there will be rules." Ava waited. "First," he said, "I don't believe in fake marriages. So if we marry, I will treat you as my real wife." Her breath caught. No abandonment. No secret girlfriends. No humiliation. He looked directly at her. "Understood." Ava nodded slowly. "And you?" he asked. "What about me?" "No secrets." She hesitated for half a second, then nodded again. "Understood." Ethan extended his hand. Ava stared at it. "Are we seriously doing this?" she whispered. He raised an eyebrow. "You were the one who proposed." Ava laughed nervously. Then she took his hand. And that single moment would become the beginning of a story that Hollywood would talk about for years. But neither of them knew yet that someone inside the ballroom was already watching them. And that person hated what they were about to become. Ava didn't realize how serious Ethan Blake was until he walked back into the ballroom with her beside him. The music was loud. Cameras flashed. Celebrities laughed around them. But the moment Ethan stepped inside, something strange happened. People noticed. Not because Ethan was loud. Quite the opposite. The room simply adjusted around him. Executives straightened. Actors lowered their voices. Assistants moved out of his path. Ava suddenly understood something important. Ethan Blake didn't need to demand authority. He was authority. And right now, everyone was staring at the woman walking beside him. Whispers started almost immediately. Is that Ava Carter? Wasn't she supposed to get married next week? Why is she with Ethan Blake? Ava felt her stomach tighten. Ethan noticed. Without saying a word, he placed a steady hand lightly at the small of her back. Not possessive, just supportive. Relax, he murmured quietly. I'm trying. His lips twitched slightly. Try harder. They stopped near the main stage where several executives were speaking. One of them immediately stepped forward. Mr. Blake, the media is asking if you'd like to say a few words tonight. Ethan looked at Ava. Then something unexpected happened. He said calmly, yes. The executive blinked. Ethan almost never made speeches at these parties. Within seconds, the music lowered. People turned toward the stage. Phones lifted. Cameras activated. Ava whispered urgently, what are you doing? Ethan answered calmly, solving a problem. Before she could ask what that meant, he took her hand and led her onto the stage. The entire ballroom went silent. Hundreds of eyes fixed on them. Ethan took the microphone. Thank you for coming tonight, he said smoothly. His voice carried easily across the room. This event celebrates the success of Crown Entertainment and the incredible artists who work with us. Ava felt her heart pounding. Something told her this moment was about to change everything. Then Ethan continued. But tonight, I'd also like to share something personal. The room leaned forward. Even the journalists stopped whispering. Ethan looked briefly at Ava. Then he said the sentence that exploded across every phone in the room. I'd like to introduce the woman I'm going to marry. For half a second, no one reacted. Then the entire ballroom erupted. Gasps, shouts, flashing cameras, phones recording. Someone dropped a glass. Ava Carter, someone shouted. Is this real? Ava stood frozen. Even she hadn't expected him to announce it this way. Ethan calmly continued. Our wedding will take place very soon. More chaos. The reporters practically climbed onto chairs. One of them yelled, Mr. Blake, when did you start dating? Ethan didn't hesitate. Recently. Another reporter shouted, is this connected to Ava Carter's broken engagement? Ava stiffened. Before she could answer, Ethan spoke firmly. Miss Carter's personal life deserves respect. His voice turned slightly colder. I suggest everyone remembers that. The reporter immediately shut up. Ava glanced at him. That was the first time someone had publicly defended her since the scandal. The ballroom buzzed with speculation. Some people looked shocked. Others looked impressed. And a few looked very unhappy. One of those people was watching the live stream from a penthouse across the city. Daniel Brooks nearly choked on his whiskey. What the hell is this? The TV showed Ava standing beside Ethan Blake. His phone exploded with messages. Dude, what did you do? You lost Ava Carter to Ethan Blake? Bro, you messed up. Daniel slammed the glass onto the table. That's impossible. But the announcement kept playing. His jaw clenched. Because suddenly he understood something terrifying. Ava wasn't just moving on. She was moving up. Way up. And if she married Ethan Blake, Daniel would become the man who cheated on the wife of one of the most powerful billionaires in Hollywood. His career could collapse overnight. Across the city, Ava was still trying to process what had just happened. Ethan guided her off the stage. You could have warned me, she whispered. He looked amused. You seemed confident earlier. This is different. How? Now the whole world knows. Ethan shrugged slightly. They would know eventually. Ava stared at him. You're surprisingly calm about life-changing announcements. I run billion-dollar negotiations daily, he said. This is easier. Despite herself, Ava laughed. That was the first genuine laugh she'd had in days. They returned to the balcony. The party inside continued buzzing with rumors. Ava leaned against the railing. Do you always make dramatic decisions this fast? Ethan thought for a moment. No. Then why now? He looked at her. Because I trust my instincts. And your instincts say marrying a scandal-covered actress is a good idea? He studied her carefully. My instincts say you're not the person the internet thinks you are. The simple statement made Ava strangely emotional. For days, everyone had been judging her. But Ethan hadn't asked a single accusing question. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For not asking if the video was true. Ethan's voice stayed calm. I don't care about rumors. He paused. I care about patterns. What pattern? You canceled your wedding immediately. So, people who chase fame usually try to hide scandals, he said. You didn't. Ava blinked. He had noticed that. Also, he added, you looked more angry than heartbroken. That's because I was. Good. Good. Yes. Why? Angry people recover faster. Ava smiled slightly. You're strangely optimistic. Only about capable people. Their eyes met again. This time the silence felt different. Less awkward. More comfortable. Then Ethan's phone vibrated. He glanced at the screen. His expression hardened slightly. What happened? Ava asked. Nothing important. Your face says otherwise. He sighed. Daniel Brooks just requested a meeting with me. Ava froze. What? He wants to discuss future projects with Crown Entertainment. Ava let out a disbelieving laugh. He must be desperate. Ethan looked thoughtful. He probably realized something. What? That insulting you publicly was a mistake. Ava crossed her arms. Well, he's right. Ethan's voice turned calm again. Don't worry. Why? I don't reward people who disrespect my future wife. Future wife. The words echoed softly between them. For a moment neither of them spoke. Then Ethan said quietly, we should visit my grandmother tomorrow. Ava nodded. I'd like that. But neither of them noticed the woman watching from the shadows of the ballroom. Lila Monroe. Her nails dug into her champagne glass. That should have been me, she muttered. Because she knew something no one else knew. Daniel hadn't cheated by accident. Lila had planned it. She had carefully seduced him, recorded the video, and leaked it. All to destroy Ava Carter's career. And it had almost worked. But now, Ava Carter was about to become Mrs. Ethan Blake. Lila's smile slowly turned cold. Well, she whispered, if she wants to play at the top level, I'll make sure she falls harder. The next morning, Ethan's car stopped in front of a quiet private hospital. Ava looked at the building nervously. Your grandmother is here? Yes. Is she really that sick? Ethan nodded slightly. She's recovering from heart surgery. They walked inside. When the elderly woman saw them enter together, her entire face lit up. You came back. Ethan smiled softly. Of course. Ava stepped forward. Hello, Mrs. Blake. The old woman held her hand warmly. Oh, please call me Grandma Eleanor. Ava laughed softly. That might take some practice. Grandma Eleanor looked between them. So is it true? Ethan nodded once. We're getting married. The old woman teared up instantly. I knew it. She squeezed Ava's hands. You have no idea how stubborn this boy is. Ethan sighed. Grandma. But Ava noticed something touching. For the first time since she met him, Ethan looked slightly embarrassed. Grandma Eleanor whispered conspiratorially to Ava. He's a good man. Just very serious. I noticed. And he pretends not to be romantic. Ethan cleared his throat. Grandma. But he is, she continued happily. He just doesn't realize it yet. Ava laughed again. And Ethan realized something surprising. The hospital room felt warm, comfortable, like a small piece of peace in the middle of his chaotic life. For the first time since agreeing to this strange marriage, he felt something unexpected. Maybe this decision wasn't reckless. Maybe it was exactly what both of them needed. But outside the hospital, 2 black cars had just parked. Inside one of them sat Daniel Brooks, watching the entrance. his face dark with determination. And inside the other car sat Lila Monroe, watching too. Two people who had already decided something dangerous. If Ava Carter wanted to rise again, they would make sure she fell even harder. And neither Ethan nor Ava had any idea yet that their marriage had already started a war. But Ava didn't know. The people who destroyed her life were already planning their next move. Find out what happens in part 2.